Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
Tonight on News Hour, INEC chairman says commission ready for election overcomes cash challenge. Atiku, Tinubu in last-minute campaigns ahead of Saturday polls. Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria sues for calm, reassures banks will remain open to address Naira scarcity crisis. Away from Nigeria, Ghanaian footballer Christian Atsu found dead on the rubble. 3 people found alive 13 days after quakes as death toll tops 46,000. Hello and welcome to the News Hour on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ida. Thank you for joining. We begin with political matters. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, has reassured Nigerians that the 2023 elections will hold on the 25th of February 2023, March 11, as scheduled, as cash and logistics arrangements are already in place. Mahmood gave the assurance when the chairman and his national commissioner inspected training centers for supervisory presiding officers and the national collation centers for the presidential election. Noel Samson tells us more.
Are you assuring me that your loyalty is to Nigeria and Nigerians only? Yes, sir.
The INEC chairman said the inspection exercise was imperative to make sure that all necessary logistics are in place ahead of the polls.
Logistics in terms of movement of sensitive and non-sensitive materials, we are good to go. By this time next week, Nigerians will be voting in over 176,000 polling units nationwide. And the outcome of that process for presidential election will be compiled here, and the choice made by Nigerians for the next president of the country will also be announced at this venue. So in essence, that is the purpose of the 2 trips we have undertaken today. One for the training of presiding officers, the other one inspection of facilities at the ICC, which will serve as our collation center.
He also used the opportunity to address concerns about election security, logistics, and cash problem.
We visited the CBN last week on the issue of cash for payment of some of the services, not all, some of the services that we are going to engage on election day. The bulk of payment for goods, works, and services is made by the Commission through electronic transfer. But there are certain critical services that we have to remunerate by cash. And that's why we went to the CBN for, and it's a small percentage of the budget. And the central bank has assured us that, as I keep saying, we will not suffer any encumbrances in that regard. So there are no issues with respect to that. On what is happening around the country, the protest that we have mentioned is a security matter. This is an issue that we are going to discuss with the security agencies. As you know, we have our own role clearly cut out, and others also have their own roles clearly cut out. But the most important thing is that we're working together. And they have assured that the security agencies assured and reassured us that they will secure the environment for elections to hold peacefully nationwide. So we have no issues in that respect.
In all these engagements, the Commission has always reiterated its stand that it will deliver to Nigerians an election that will reflect the will of the people. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the People's Democratic presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar says he is more than determined to unite and secure the country to sustain peace and development if elected president on 25th of February 2023. Atiku said this in Yola as he rounds off his presidential campaign rally in Adamawa with hundreds of supporters in attendance. Salis Lawan reports that 5 political parties at the rally adopted Atiku Abubakar as their presidential candidate. Take a look.
It is nothing but a home welcome from the residents for PDP presidential candidate, accompanied by national, state executive members and other chieftains of the party as they prepare for the February 25th presidential election. Supporters here say Atiku is the best candidate that can salvage Nigeria from its present predicament and backwardness in education, health, infrastructure, coupled with insecurity and joblessness.
We truly thank you for coming out, both on the streets and on this rally ground to welcome your father, your son, your own, Waziri Adamawa. We want to thank the people of Adamawa State for giving to us a leader who understands Nigeria, a leader who is humble.
The leading candidate by the grace of God for this election is Atiku Abubakar. And the leading ticket, and the ticket that will deliver Nigeria, that reflects the true character of Nigeria, is Atiku Okowa.
A man who is a general that can provide the rescue mission. The man who is coming with a blueprint is who? Alhaji Atiku. Alhaji Atiku. Of which party? Of which party? That is our message. And we believe next weekend, by this time, all PDP members.
It is a time where Nigerians, we cannot take chances anymore. We want a secured heart. We want a secured president. We want a president that has experience. Look at all the candidates. Nobody has the same experience as Waziri Adamawa.
5 out of the 18 political parties contesting in the 2023 general elections adopt Atiku as their presidential candidate. The national chairman of the APM, Yusuf Dantale, made a declaration on behalf of the parties.
We, the leaders of the 5 political parties, namely the APM, the AA, the ADC, the APP, and LRM, after extensive deliberations and consultations with relevant stakeholders, have decided to adopt the People's Democratic Party Atiku Abubakar Ifeanyi Okowa ticket for 2023 presidential election coming on Saturday, 25th February 2023.
The PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is overwhelmed with the support and solidarity accorded to him.
Today is the final day of our rally all over the country. I want to use this opportunity not only to address the people of Adamawa State, but the entire country. I want to thank all Nigerians from all the states of the Federation who in the last 6 months have come out to show solidarity, to show support to our great party and to myself.
The People's Democratic Party presidential campaign rally, which started 6 months back in Oyo, Akwa Ibom, is rounding off in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. Silas Lawan, Trust TV News, Yola.
And for the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, reviving the economy of Borno State and support for victims of insurgency will be looked into if he is elected president. Tinubu stated this when he, his vice and other party faithfuls visited Maiduguri for their rally on Saturday. Bitrus Kuruti has the rest of the story.
The streets of Maiduguri metropolis was agog as supporters of the APC came out in their numbers for the APC presidential rally of Tinubu and Shettima in Borno State. To many, this was not unexpected as Borno is the home state of Kashim Shettima, the vice presidential candidate of the APC. The party flag bearer and officials of the party paid a courtesy call on the Shehu of Borno.
With regard to the oil exploration, the other time we are told that there have been an oil and all this things, and something has to be done about it in earnest. But not at all. For whatever reason we don't know, that project was abandoned in the name of security. Okay, if we have security problem here, what of the other places of the country?
Meanwhile, the El Kanami Sports Center was filled with thousands of supporters and party faithful from across the state. Governors of Jigawa, Kebbi, Niger, Kano, and the national chairman, among others, were in attendance. Apart from the will of God, nothing will deprive us of victory in the election. In fact, with the votes from Jigawa, Borno, Kano, Katsina, we will defeat them next Saturday. We will provide jobs for our youth and we will recharge an oil exploration in Lake Chad Basin. The APC presidential candidate said he will revamp the economy, bring development in the country, and assured that his government will give succor to Borno indigents who have suffered deprivation from insurgency.
You have faced challenges. It is over now. You have suffered deprivation. You have suffered homelessness. Some people created orphans. We will take care of all of you.
The party also received the campaigns from the NNPP, PDP and SDP. As the campaigns are drawing to a conclusion, Nigerians are hopeful that whoever becomes the president will address critical sectors of the nation to give Nigerians a better life.
In the meantime, the All Progressives Congress has summoned an emergency meeting of all governors elected under its platform. A statement issued by the party's publicity secretary, Felix Moka, on behalf of the national chairman, says that the meeting will hold at the party's national secretariat in Abuja on Sunday by 2 p.m. The meeting may not be unconnected with the ongoing Naira crisis in the country, where the governors have gone on confrontation with the President Muhammadu Buhari over the Naira redesign policy that is impoverishing the masses and putting the party in bad light of the public. It is believed that Sunday's meeting is meant to make the hardline governors who took the presidency to court over the policy to shift ground and probably withdraw the case against Buhari and CBN at the Apex Court. The Nigeria police have warned against comments and utterances capable of heating up the polity and triggering a crisis as Nigerians battle a cash crunch in the country. Force spokesperson Olumuyiwa Adejobi said in a statement on Saturday that the caution became important due to the utterances of some persons or groups attempting to instigate the people against the government. The police, while warning Nigerians against violence, hooliganism and vandalism that may jeopardize the ongoing electoral process, however, assured that they are working to provide a peaceful environment for all citizens to conduct their socio-economic activities. Earlier, Adejobi had warned against the destruction of bank facilities following the protests that hit several parts of the country. The Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria says it is liaising with the body of bank CEOs to address the current challenges caused by the cash swap and scarcity of the redesigned banknote. President and Chairman of the Council, CIBN, Ken Okpara, disclosed this in a statement on Saturday in Lagos. He said the banks will continue to remain open to serve the public as long as it was safe to do so. He appealed to the public to remain calm and eschew any act of violence, adding that the banking industry remained resolute and committed to finding ways to address all the related issues. Several commercial banks have been attacked by alleged bank customers, with protests recorded in different states across the country over the scarcity of the redesigned banknotes. Meanwhile, depositors of old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes on Friday accused the Central Bank of Nigeria, Jos Branch, of deliberate refusal to collect their deposits even when the deadline for the collection of the notes was yet to expire. The depositors who had gathered at the Jos branch of the bank said that they were at the bank since Friday morning but were not attended to. Ado Musa reports.
Most of the depositors who gathered at the bank's building said they had arrived at the bank in the morning of Friday but were neglected by the officials of the CBN. They said even the codes they were asked to generate before filling the forms were not possible as internet connection was poor, and called on the CBN to do the needful to address the problem. I am from Toro local government area of Bauchi State. In the village, people don't have accounts with banks, so they gather their old money and ask us to deposit for them at the CBN. We have been here since morning, but they haven't collected the money. Honestly, we are in a difficult situation. Things are not good here at all. We have been at the CBN since morning, The officials of the bank told us to generate codes before we can deposit, but the network has been bad. We just don't know what to do. We have left everything to Allah. Whatever happens, we will accept it. If we lose the money, that is what Allah has permitted to happen. Many depositors have alleged that the CBN was not ready to collect the money, adding that the CBN's explanation on how and where to deposit the money was deceptive. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Cash depositors in Gombe State who thronged to the Central Bank of Nigeria branch in the state to swap old Naira notes spent hours without being attended to. Ibrahim Ismail reports that some of the residents struggled to get the officials of the bank to receive their old notes.
This is how Nigerians gathered at the entrance of the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Gombe State branch, struggling to submit forms generated on the website of the CBN to enable them submit their old notes. Some of them have spent hours in queues.
I've been here since morning. Actually, the process is going well, but the problem is that there is a lot of conjunctions. So we are trying to write our names to follow it accordingly. But the problem is that some people here some people came here maybe to try to disorganize what we are doing. But actually we are not happy for what is going on. But we don't have alternative rather than to abide with the rule of the CBN.
Tunde Sapi, around 6 o'clock a day. I follow line, enter.
Okay, have you submitted your form?
I don't submit.
What is the problem?
We follow line. My own problem.
A team of businessmen were captured with bags of old Naira notes amounting to over 40 million Naira. The money is almost 50 million Naira. Meanwhile, internet service providers make fortune generating online codes to those willing to retrieve old notes to the CBN.
Yeah, of course. For me, it is a newly business opportunity, and I am using it wisely so that to earn a living.
It could be recalled that the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has given a 7-day window for Nigerians to submit old notes for deposit in their accounts. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
10 states have asked the Supreme Court to set aside the pronouncement of President Muhammadu Buhari banning old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. The states on Friday filed the suit through their counsel, AJ Owonikoko SAN. They want the Apex Court to declare President's directives in his Thursday's broadcast as unconstitutional. The plaintiffs argued that the President's directive extending the validity of the old 200 Naira notes for 60 days and his ban on old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes are unconstitutional, overreach, and usurpation of judicial power. The Attorneys General of Kaduna, Kogi, Zamfara, Ondo, Ekiti, Katsina, Ogun, Cross River, Sokoto, and Lagos states are the plaintiffs, while the respondents are the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, as well as the Attorneys General of Bayelsa and Edo states. The Supreme Court had on Wednesday adjourned hearing in the matter till next February 22nd. Now, gunmen have attacked a police station in Ogidi in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State, killing 3 police officers. The Anambra State Police Command spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga, who revealed this, said that the incident happened on Saturday morning. He stated this in a press release that the gunmen arrived in their numbers and shot sporadically, gaining access into the police facility and used improvised bombs to attack the buildings. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up shortly. NSCDC arrests 2 drug addicts in Lafia. Details of this and more after the break.
Kai, my people, reason this thing now. When PDP day, our country be safe. Naira strong, economy they grow. Fuel, 7 naira, rice, 8,000. Our life in better, oh. When change people come, no work, no food, economy forgotten. I got borrow, boundary tree, foot down, Jackpot left and right, Sakpa up and down. No need to gamble, say joy. PDP don't come, say joy. Recover Nigeria, say joy. We don't tire to suffer, say joy. Experience mind, say joy. We don't want experiment, say joy. Get them right, say joy. This time our life, oh, say joy. Recover Nigeria, say joy. Atiku na the man, oh, say joy. Atiku Adokowa, say joy. Na the only joy, so say joy.
Vote the safe choice to recover Nigeria.
PDP!
Power to the people! Now PDP Presidential Campaign Council sponsor this message.
Nigeria's 2023 general elections are just around the corner, and Trust TV is your trusted guide to the polls.
With live reports from polling stations, collation centers, and key locations across the country, you won't miss a moment of the action as we bring you comprehensive coverage and analysis with invited guests, including politicians, experts, and voters to join us in the studio for in-depth discussions throughout the day.
You will also have your say too. Call in, share your thoughts on social media, take part in our live polls as well as our question and answer sessions.
So join Nigeria Decides on Trust TV on Election Day starting at 8 a.m. for the most comprehensive and trustworthy coverage of the 2023 general election.
Sanin madafin shugabanci na da inganci wajen gina kowace irin ingantacciyar demokaradiyya. Maza 'yan Najeriya ku dunkule ku cure ku zabi Bola Ahmed Tinubu a matsayin shugaban kasa da kuma Kashim Shettima a matsayin mataimakin sa. A karkashin jam'iyyar APC a shekara ta 2023 mutum ne jajirtacce, tabbas yana da tasiri a fagen siyasar Najeriya. A cikin kundin manufofinsa zai inganta tsaro, bangaren noma, faɗaɗa hanyoyin tattalin arziki da kuma kasuwanci. Hanyoyin arzikinmu a kuntace suke a sakamakon rashin rarraba wutar lantarki yadda ya kamata. Bola Ahmed Tinubu zai saisaita kudirinsa wajen samar da isasshen wutar lantarki a Najeriya. Idan 'yan Najeriya suka zabe shi, zai gudanar da ayyuka bangarori da dama na ci gaba kamar bangaren sufuri, ilimi da kuma inganta tsaro, kasuwanci da kuma gyara bangaren shari'a. To 'yan Najeriya ba ku da zabi illa zaben Bola Ahmed Tinubu a matsayin shugaban kasar Najeriya na gaba.
Wannan sako ne daga sashen tsare-tsare da sadarwa na kwamitin yakin neman zaben shugaban kasa na jam'iyyar APC.
Welcome back to the News Hour on Trust Television. Let's take a look at some of the main stories again. INEC chairman says commission ready for election overcomes cash challenge. Atiku, Tinubu in last-minute campaigns ahead of Saturday polls. INEC National Commissioner supervising Delta, Cross River and Edo States, Rhoda Gumus, has assured that all is in place to conduct the February 25 and March 11, 2023 national elections. The commissioner gave the assurance while inspecting some election materials in Asaba. The report.
The inspection exercise is part of activities geared towards ensuring that no stone is left unturned to give Nigerians a free and fair poll. During the inspection, INEC officials were seen configuring the bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS in readiness for the elections. After the inspection, she is convinced that INEC will deliver on its promise of credible elections in the country.
Being on a meeting, seeing everything that is in place, and I'm very, very glad that we are ready for the election.
The Delta State resident electoral commissioner Monday Udom on his part reveals that 305,245 voter cards have not been collected in Delta State.
For the new cards, it was very impressive. We had over 85% collection. We had 357 cards that came for new. And we had collected 80-something%. You can do that, mathematics. I know that. Only about few cards were not, few thousand of cards were not collected. Then for transfers, that was wonderful. Over 90% of transfers were collected. The only one we had issues were the old cards left over 2019 election. We had only 20% collection in that card. And we had 244,000 of that card that were left over, and only about 20% of that were collected by the close of 5th of February when we closed the collection of PVC.
Chairmen of participating political parties in Delta State alongside security agencies also inspected sensitive election materials secured at the CBN branch in Delta State.
We have been in there. We have seen some materials. We have the presidential, we have the senatorial body. We have the presidential and senatorial body reps materials. They are not here yet, but they have promised us that before the end of the week, that the rep materials are going to arrive. We have not counted. All we did now is to see that the process is ongoing. The materials and the hope of election is very clear and clear.
Despite apprehension in some quarters, the Commission is positive that the elections will be held as scheduled.
Political parties in Anambra State have signed a peace accord ahead of the 2023 general elections. At the exercise, which took place at the Anambra State Police Command in Awka, 5 parties signed the accord, while others were missing. The report.
Speaking at the event, the Commissioner of Police, Echeng Echeng, represented by his deputy, DCP Peter Ozigi, along with the representative of the INEC RAC in the state, noted with appreciation the role of religious, traditional and community leaders in Anambra State, as well as civil society, social, cultural associations, and the media in appealing for peace before, during, and after the polls.
The command is fit to call the second meeting of all stakeholders, particularly the political parties and candidates, to commit themselves to a peace accord by signing the document as evidence of their preparedness for a peaceful 2023 general election in the state.
INEC has prepared. We are actually very, very prepared. Every arrangement is in top gear. The security organizations that are working very hard also, they are working with us and constantly with us. And so we are ready for the elections.
Representatives of political parties spoke on the need for INEC to conduct free, fair and credible elections come 25th of February and March 11.
I am very confident that INEC will do the needful because INEC has shown preparedness, they've shown commitment, and they've shown readiness to ensure that the people are allowed to choose their leaders.
It might not be completely free, might not be completely fair, but I think our irregularities will be at the barest minimum. So when we get our irregularities at the barest minimum, then we can have the election results will be acceptable.
Any candidate that wins knows that we have a lot of problems in Nigeria, and the person will swing into action to actually rebuild a new Nigeria.
Stakeholders are hopeful that with the commitment of government and the preparation by INEC, Nigerians will have a poll that reflects the wishes of the people.
A cleric and senior pastor, Godwin Ude, has said that only candidates endorsed by God will win the forthcoming general elections. Ude said this in an interview with News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja. The cleric said that none of the candidates aspiring for any of the elective offices in the various levels of government should boast in his ability to contest and win the elections without God's grace. According to him, irrespective of power, position, and money, leadership only comes from God, who knows the hearts of men.
The only people that will succeed are those people that pray the right prayer, that God, let your presence go with me. And don't boast of yourself. If you boast of yourself, you are going to fail. God will derail you, irrespective of the money you have, irrespective of the name you think you have. Lean on God and let God be the champion that will drive the vehicle of your journey. If God is not there in that vehicle, the vehicle will crash. So God knows the vehicle that is going to pilot, and with the children of God, let us be part of the vehicle that God is piloting. So in this political era now, only God knows who is going to be the president, is going to be the governor, that to be well with all the citizens. Our prayer is that, Father, choose for us. And anyone that chooses himself, it will not work. It's only those that God endorses that will work this time around. So the prayer we are praying, God choose for us. Anyone that God brought is God candidate. God candidate is our candidate.
The presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, Dumebi Kachukwu, says that he has neither endorsed nor stepped down for Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the forthcoming presidential election. Kachukwu, at a news conference on Friday in Abuja, said that there are no differences between Obi nor Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party and the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu. He said the three candidates had failed during their tenures as either vice president or state governors. Kachukwu claimed that former President Olusegun Obasanjo wanted him to work with Obi, but that his response to him during their private meeting and now was the same.
So I believe that the Labour candidates who he wanted me to work with represented no difference from either Bola Tinubu or Atiku Abubakar. I said that he had been in office as a governor of a state for 8 years. Having been governor of a state for 8 years, that state happens to be one of the hotbeds of the problems in the southeast today as they seek to leave Nigeria, believing that Nigeria holds nothing for them. I believe that if Anambra had worked and if Obi had performed in Anambra, that place would have been a place where Igbos will rally around and go there and use that as a building point for the rest of the southeast. Several months ago, in the aftermath of my emergence as a candidate of the party, President Olusegun Obasanjo sent for me, and in that meeting, what he said to me was that after having listened to my speech at the party primaries, he now believed that there are two candidates in the race he should watch for, and that he would like me to look at how I and the Labour candidates can work together, or we should run our races, and at the appropriate time we will see what happens. I'm running this race to the very end. If anybody expects that they will hear me before the elections say that I, as a candidate, I am endorsing, I am pushing for, I am aligning with another candidate, then the person is sorely mistaken.
3 suspected drugs addicts have been arrested by the Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in Lafia. The State Commandant of the Corps, Abba Baffa, made this known while parading the suspects in Lafia. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
The Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, in keeping with the mandate of the command for securing communities across the country, has continued hunting down criminals of all categories, leading to the arrest of many in the state. Parading the 3 suspected drug addicts in the state, the State Commandant of the NSCDC, Abba Baffa, said the suspects were arrested at Kurikio Road, Datinkowa in Lafia, an area facing criminal threats in the state capital. The commandant, represented by the Public Relations Officer of the command, Jerry Victor, explained that the command gathered intelligence on the activities of the arrested persons and swung into action that led to their arrest.
In Datinkowa area of Lafia, they have been suspecting or they have a little rate of crimes and criminality in that area. And of course, the commandant of NSCDC, National State Command, Commandant Abbas Bapa Mohammed, deemed it fit to fix in surveillance within the areas. And within yesterday, those suspects were caught in that area. Of course, we have some in possession of them. We have some wraps of bundles of India hemp. We have they have a very sharp-edged knife with them, and also some substances that, of course, this is what they use in aiding them in committing all these kind of crimes we have in the society. So just like the way the saying goes, if you don't curtail them taking this kind of drugs, at the end of the day, they will end up causing a menace to the society.
He said after undergoing investigations, the 3 suspects will be charged to court.
So as it is now, investigation is still on, and they are very, very collaborative, and they are giving us more information concerning the cartel involved in this kind of act. So as it is, investigation is still on. Immediately after investigation is concluded, they will be charged to court.
The commandant appealed to the public to always cooperate with security agencies by giving them appropriate information that would ease the job of fighting crime and ensure peace in the society. One of the suspects, Ovie Jonathan, admitted to committing the offense and attributed their action to evil influence.
Now, amidst allegations of incessant land fraud in Gombe State, the Gombe Geographic Information System, GOGIS, has issued 500 digital certificates of occupancy to address land dispute and cloning of CFOs in the state. Last year, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, said that land fraud is becoming more rampant in Gombe. At a press conference on Friday, the Director General, Gombe Geographic Information System, Kabir Usman Hassan, said that the government has captured over 14,000 plots in its database. Landowners who received their digital certificate of occupancy also shared experience of the application process.
We have captured all the manual files to digital one, and you cannot clone our certificate. Because we have a security on it. We have a security. Nobody can clone this certificate, as you can see. We have been calling those who have the manual certificate to come here and collect what we call update form. When you fill that update form, we'll upgrade you to a digital certificate in 1 week.
Seriously, that my property is authentic. Nobody can come to drag it with me because it was signed by His Excellency, and I'm grateful.
I know of a particular property that I had to buy twice, and so it's something that really wasn't palatable for me. So, but I had to buy it twice because of the dispute that was on the land. But now that this digitalization of CFO has come, the coordinates of the land can be captured easily, and so that now makes it impossible for somebody to come and claim a property that has been assigned to you as an individual.
Time now for us to take a quick break. The news hour continues shortly. Join us again.
APC not the party, now one man be a choice. At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Nigeria's 2023 general elections are just around the corner, and Trust TV is your trusted guide to the polls.
With live reports from polling stations, collation centers, and key locations across the country, you won't miss a moment of the action as we bring you comprehensive coverage and analysis with invited guests, including politicians, experts, and voters to join us in the studio for in-depth discussions throughout the day.
You will also have your say too. Call in, share your thoughts on social media, take part in our live polls as well as our question and answer sessions.
So join Nigeria Decides on Trust TV on Election Day, starting at 8 a.m. for the most comprehensive and trustworthy coverage of the 2023 general election.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching the News Hour on Trust Television. It's time now to take a look at Business Update, presented by Chiamaka Nwafo.
The Nigerian government admitted that it has been asking deposit money banks to consider giving them longer-term financing and larger-size financing. This was disclosed by Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, at the 36th African Union Summit in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, on Friday. The minister also noted that the cost of finance Nigeria faces is a roadblock as Nigeria ends up going at a very high cost. Ahmed said Nigeria needs to close the skill gap in finance and urged others to address the food price problem to maintain a steady GDP growth rate at an average of 3% in Nigeria. Nigeria's public debt stock, which includes external and domestic debt, stood at 44.06 trillion naira in Q3 of 2022, having risen by 1.22 trillion naira from 42.84 trillion naira in Q2 of the same year. Global oil and gas upstream investments in 2022 rose by 39% from the previous year to $499 billion, the highest level since 2014, due to high costs, according to a report by the International Energy Forum and S&P Global Commodity Insights. According to the report, drilling remained below pre-pandemic levels last year as inflation ate away at the spending. The number of drilling rigs rose by 22% in 2022, but this was still 10% below 2019 levels. It is also said the recovery in 2022 marked a change from the previous 2 years when capital expenditure slumped, with the COVID-19 pandemic contributing to a tightening of global energy markets, price spikes, and natural gas shortages. In 2022, the report said nearly 2.2 million barrels per day of new capacity were approved or sanctioned, falling short of the 2019's high, while annual upstream investment will need to increase from $499 billion in 2022 to $640 billion in 2030 to ensure adequate supplies. Bitcoin hit an 8-month high to surge past $25,000 on Thursday as the volatile cryptocurrency rises despite pressure from U.S. regulators. The digital coin has soared by 50% since the start of the year, though it remains far off its peak of $68,992, which it reached in November of 2021. It reached $25,249 on Thursday, its highest point since June, and the first time it topped the $25,000 mark since August. And finally, in stocks, a total turnover of 751.990 million shares worth 20.575 billion naira in 15,822 deals was traded this week by investors on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The financial services industry, measured by volume, led the activity chart, while the consumer goods industry and the industrial goods industry came second and third, respectively. The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.96% and 0.95% to close the week at 53,804.46 and 29.310 trillion naira, respectively. 36 equities appreciated in price during the week, with 27 depreciating, while 94 equities remain unchanged. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Now moving on, a pair of lawmakers have called on the United States to rescind a nearly $1 billion helicopter sale to Nigeria, saying that allegations of a forced abortion program have renewed concerns on human rights. Congress had delayed the sale over concerns about Nigerian Army's commitment to protect civilians as it battles an uprising in the northwest, as well as the bloody repression of protest against police violence in 2020. But President Joe Biden's administration approved the sale of 12 Viper attack helicopters last year, saying that the equipment will promote security in Africa's most populous country. Representatives Chris Smith, a Republican active on human rights and strong opponent of abortion, and Sarah Jacobs, a Democrat who formerly worked for the State Department, said that Nigeria's armed forces had a consistent record of abuses and that past aid had done little to boost security. The U.S. lawmakers' call comes amid sporadic violence ahead of February 25 elections in Nigeria. And away from Nigeria, African leaders met Saturday to discuss challenges facing the continent as UN Chief Antonio Guterres urged them to do more to bring peace to conflict-hit regions. Africa is reeling from a record drought in the Horn and deadly violence in the Sahel region and the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, with the two-day African Union Summit aiming to address these issues and jumpstart a faltering free trade pact. Most of the sessions are being held behind closed doors at the AU headquarters in Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa, with more than 30 presidents and prime ministers in attendance. Guterres called for Africa to take action for peace, adding that the continent of 1.4 billion people faced enormous tests on virtually every front. At a mini-summit on Friday, leaders of the seven-nation East African community pushed for all armed groups to withdraw from occupied areas in the eastern DRC by the end of next month. 12 days after the Turkey-Syria earthquake, 3 people, including a child, were rescued alive from the rubble of a building in Antakya city of southern Turkey on Saturday. State news agency Anadolu said that more than 46,000 people have been killed in the earthquake, and the toll is expected to soar, with some 264,000 apartments in Turkey destroyed and many still missing in the country's worst modern disaster. A journalist for Turkish television channel NTV later reported that one of those found had died after being taken to the hospital. NTV broadcast images of rescuers placing the rescued people onto stretchers after they had spent 296 hours trapped in the rubble. Hakan Yasungolu, in his 40s, was rescued in the southern province of Hatay 278 hours after, while Osman Helebiye, 14, and Mustafa Avci, 34, were saved in Turkey's historic city of Antakya.
I can't believe it. I thought my family would be all dead. I didn't want to come out alive because I thought they wouldn't be here.
We are waiting outside with Mehmet Ali's family. He and my brother became friends inside, and we became friends with Mehmet Ali's family outside. We have been sleeping by the wreckage for days.
I had lost hope. This is a real miracle. After seeing that wreck, I'd never thought my son would ever get out alive. I was prepared for the worst case. Allah has gifted my son to me for the second time.
With the chances of finding more survivors diminishing rapidly, excavators and trucks are working to clear the rubble where it's known no one.
Still on the quake, Ghanaian footballer Christian Atsu has been found dead under the building where he lived in southern Turkey after last week's massive earthquake, the ex-Chelsea winger's Turkish agent said. Atsu had been scheduled to fly out of southern Turkey hours before the quake, but Hatayspor's manager said on Friday that the Ghanaian opted to stay with the club after scoring the game-winning goal in February 5 Super League match. The 31-year-old secured Hatayspor a 1-0 win over Kasimpasa by scoring only seconds before the final whistle. And still in sports news, technical director of the Nigeria Football Federation NFF, Augustine Ogwavoi, has sent his best wishes to the Flying Eagles ahead of the 2023 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. The biennial competition will kick off on Sunday. The Flying Eagles will be in action on the opening day against the junior Teranga Lions of Senegal. The game at the Cairo International Stadium will start at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Egwavuen, a former Super Eagles head coach, has tasked the team to do well in the competition. Now, ADM basketball team of Enugu on Friday won the 3rd edition of Sports, Music and Culture basketball tournament tagged Basketball Redefined in Enugu. As the final match played at the indoor sports hall of the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, Enugu, ADM defeated Black Tigers basketball team by 12-6. The tournament, which was sponsored by a basketball enthusiast, Arinze Naji, has 16 teams from Anambra, Ebonyi, and Enugu as participating teams. Hawks, another team from Enugu, narrowly beat Ebonyi team 12-11 at the 3rd place competition. ADM player Fabian Okpara said that the competition gave the players an opportunity to test the tactics they learned at the training. And Arsenal on Saturday scored 2 stoppage time goals to defeat Aston Villa 4-2 and return to the top of the Premier League table. The victory ended Arsenal's run of 3 games without a win and took them back above Manchester City after losing to them in the middle of the week. A City ground Manchester City missed the opportunity to return to the top of the Premier League as Chris Wood's late goal and Nottingham Forest a point. Now the draw extended Forest unbeaten home run to 8 games and dealt a blow to City's title hopes. Meanwhile, Chelsea were defeated at Stamford Bridge, losing 1-0 to Southampton. Everton, on the other hand, came out of the relegation zone after beating Leeds United 1-0 at Goodison Park. Similarly, Bournemouth climbed out of the relegation zone as Marcus Tavernier's goal helped them to a narrow win over Wolves of Molineux. And that's it for the news hour tonight. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.